everyone, it's Silvia. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're just going to go through a couple of decks, new decks that just entered my collection. They are, if I'm correct, they're all mass market decks. And I don't know why, but I keep on buying oracle decks rather than tarot decks. Today there is a tarot deck though, so we'll definitely have a look at that one. But it was a present and it was a gift, and so the 3 decks that I bought were still oracle decks. Let's have a look anyway. Okay, let's start with the tarot deck because it is a gift. Thank you so much from one of my friends, and she just reached out to me and she was like, oh, I have a second copy of this deck, would you be interested? But for some reason, it is a deck that is now out of print, and for some reason I knew that I knew this deck, but I didn't immediately make a connection. And so in my head, for some reason, I don't know why, I was thinking about the Ukiyo-e tarot, which is really beautiful, but it's not that one. It's quite different. It is still a really gorgeous deck, and she's actually one of the 2 persons behind the Tarot Bag Ladies. And they also made these 2 bags for me. One that actually is big enough to fit the book, as you can see here. And yes, the tarot deck is indeed the Feng Shui tarot. This is out of print, I believe, and it was an older publication by US Games from a few years ago. And as I said, I don't know why, but in my head I was thinking about the Ukiyo-e, which is really beautiful as well. But once I received it, I was like, oh, of course, it's this one. And I have actually been looking for this deck for a while because it is really beautiful, and it's from 2005, so it's Feng Shui tarot. But we'll have a look at it later. So look how cute these bags are. Basically, you can fit the book, just a book if you want, or you can also put the tarot inside a bigger bag and just if you want to take it with you. It is very neat, as you can see, very safe in here. So I really like this combination, but let's just have a look at the actual book and the deck. So obviously the deck is in this smaller bag, which is really cool as well. I really like the contrast between the black and the red. And so it's this one here. It's from 2005, so it's not one of those US games from the 80s and even the early 90s that had a really battery kind of feel to the cardstock. This is more similar. It reminds me a lot of the same cardstock as the Crow's Magic Tarot. In as much as it feels almost a little bit sticky, but it was, what was very popular as a cardstock back then. It's not as sticky as the Crow's Magic Tarot. It just reminds me a little bit of that one. This is slightly larger, I believe, than the usual format, although it's a US Games, not a Los Carabao deck, so obviously they are slightly larger. And let's just have a quick look, because as I said, I really wanted this deck for a while. There is another friend of mine that really wanted this deck, and so when I found a copy once, I got it for her. And then I thought to myself, hey, I actually really like this deck, and I wouldn't mind a copy for myself as well. But then unfortunately, sometimes even if it's a US Games deck, when they're out of print, people tend to ask for a lot of money, and there's obviously a lot of people willing and more than happy to pay a lot of money for these decks. And as I always say, something that is a collectible item is as valuable as a person is happy to pay for it. So obviously, when you see these kind of decks selling for $100, $150, you need to ask yourself, is that okay with you? Are you happy to pay a price like that, or are you not happy? Queen of Red Phoenix Queen. I know that it's got a kind of a different system for what I can recall, and I haven't had time, to be honest, to go and have a look at the guidebook, if not just a cursory look through the pages. I really love this style. I do understand why I was mistaken for the Ukiyo-e, but Ukiyo-e is another type, and it's Japanese, not Chinese. And it's a technique that I believe it's on wood block prints. And Wow. Oh, look at this turtle. Oh, that is so, tortoise, sorry. Is there a difference between turtle and tortoise? I believe that tortoise are land only, but I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, look how beautiful. I love this card. And it's the ace. Yeah, really, really nice. Ah, okay, so we got turtles on the whole suit, which makes me quite happy actually. Black tortoise. So as I was saying, I just confused those two. You know, it happens. And look at this, the tiger, the white tiger. Isn't it just absolutely fantastic? If you know me, you know that I was born in the year of the tiger, and so I am an admirer of these majestic creatures. They're just absolutely fantastic. I really, really love the art style in this deck. It is very unique. And yet at the same time it does feel familiar, because obviously if we are familiar with this type of Chinese prints, for example, then we will remember seeing the particular style in which they depict the clouds or even the waves of the sea with all these curls. Very, very particular, but also very beautiful, and I believe also very evocative as well. This looks to me more like a cat than a tiger, if I may say. My Missy, that unfortunately passed away, she used to jump on the rooftop with me being completely hysterical with worry, and every time thinking, oh my god, she's gonna fall, what am I gonna do? But she really loved it. She really loved to go high up as she could. So wow, that's really nice. It's really, really beautiful. Oh, look at this one. So I will have to spend some time with this deck, because obviously this is just my first impressions as always. You guys know me, but I don't mind repeating this. When I do an unboxing, these are just my first impressions. I am very open to the possibility that when I actually start working with the decks, I will change my mind on them. I allow myself to do that. It's something that, you know, it will prevent me from enjoying things, not being able to change my mind. But in any case, so this is the, what's this? Daily record book. Type of spread. Ah, cool. Okay, yeah. So like a journal, as a tarot journal. Oh, that's pretty cool. I like that. So this is the guidebook that came with the deck. And it tells you a little bit about, you know, the Celtic cross spread. That's interesting because every time that I meet new people that are into tarot and that they do the Celtic cross, I always ask them what values, what prompts they assign to the cards. And I promise you, there's always variances. It's incredible. There's always variances, and I like it. I really like it, because sometimes I might want to change my mind. I have a very set way to read the Celtic cross, but you know, if I hear someone that is reading in a different way and I actually think that that's a smarter way to read the Celtic cross, I will change mine. As I said, I'm very flexible, very you know, open-minded to admit that sometimes I could be wrong. Love the Balgowlah association with the majors. And by the way, because we were at the Tarot conference in WA, so Western Australia in Perth, a few weeks ago, and there was Rowan Ong, which is the creator. He is the president of the Tarot Association of Southeast Asia, but he's also the creator of a couple of decks, among which the Sims Tarot and also the Balgowlah Oracle, and he was selling them, and he actually gave us a lecture on how the Balgowlah came into being, you know, the trigrams basically, which was a very first approach to the I Ching, basically. So very stoked about this deck. I really cannot wait. Look at this at the beginning of the book. There's so much information. Verification cards. That's going to be super interesting. So I did not know that we had verifications cards as well. How court cards become your verification cards. Court cards serve as verification cards because they represent people. Yeah, okay. As in archetypes, I'm guessing. You're probably shouting at me, no, it means this, it means that. It's fine. I mean, I haven't had any time at all to delving deeper into this, but I am very excited to have this possibility, and I am very grateful to have received this deck. So next to that, and in the same parcel, I actually received another 2 tarot bags, really beautiful, from the tarot bag ladies. So these 2 here, they're just absolutely gorgeous. Let me just zoom in. Sorry, I forgot to zoom in earlier. So these ones are, I believe, standard, or no, they're actually slightly bigger, because this will be a standard tarot deck. So these are, I would say, I'm probably making a mistake, but I think they might be slightly bigger than the standard ones. But let me just double check on how they would fit with this deck. For example, if I put this deck in here, just to give you an idea, this is, as I said, the US Games deck, and it fits perfectly. So I would say, you know, standard as in US Games standard size. And as you can see, they are really cute, both of them. Very fairy-like. I do feel this kind of fairy energies coming, you know, from the drawings, from the design here. And that is because I'm actually planning a video with all of these fairy vibes, because I feel like this year we're being proposed by the publishers and also by the various tarot creators. We're being proposed a couple of themes, and one is fairy tales, which is really super cool. So we voted with my members, and we decided that we are going to study. Our next study deck is going to be the Fairy Tale Tarot by Lisa Hunt. If your edition looks different from mine, it's because I have the Spanish edition, because I bought it during the time in which it was still out of print, the English one, and it was fetching prices such as $300-400, which I did not want to spend on this deck. As much as I'm in love with Lisa Hunt's art style, for sure, I just didn't want to spend that much money on this deck. But I found this one for $70, and I speak Spanish, so that was, you know, a win-win situation. So we voted, and we decided that we're going to study the Fairy Tale Tarots by Lisa Hunt. But because it talks about fairy tales, we're actually going to do a whole theme about it. We're going to delve deeper into fairy tales. We're going to have a look at the Fairy Tale Oracle by Katie Forsyth as well. So it's cross decks kind of study, not just one. So it's going to be really fun, because I personally really love fairy tales, and I think that maybe that's common to a lot of people, because in a way it makes us, maybe it gives us the impression that we're still kids. I don't know. I was told fairy tales when I was a little girl. My dad was actually telling me fairy tales, but it was always about pirates, because that was my favorite theme. But I remember he was telling me fairy tales about pirates all the time. And so it was a simpler time. It's almost as if it were the embodiment of the Six of Cups. Imagine. So to me, the Six of Cups is pretty much fairy tales oriented. I just wanted to bring your attention, I just noticed now, to my 3 Otter Spirits bracelets. These are absolutely fantastic. We've got lapis lazuli, we've got howlite and amethyst. And let me tell you, I am never getting out removing the amethyst one, because we have been through Mercury retrograde, and for me, especially the last week or 10 days were really tough. So you will notice that amethyst is really good for protection, especially when you have this kind of communication related issues. So I highly recommend it. My partnership with Otter Spirit, which is the company that is producing these fantastic jewelry, has been prolonged until the end of June, which means that my promotional code Silvia20 is still valid. So you will use it and you will receive a 20% discount on anything you purchase from the Otter Spirit website. And let me just remind you that the reason why I am very proud to be in a partnership with them is because for every one of these bracelets or any other jewelry item that they sell from their online store, they're actually donating $1 for the preservation of sea otters, which is something that I'm really passionate about. So moving on to the other decks that I bought recently and just entered my collection. As I was anticipating earlier, they're all of them Oracle decks, and I don't know why, but I don't feel like buying tarot decks lately. Does that mean that I feel more like a supportive kind of work, to do a supportive kind of work rather than a divination one? I have no idea. but this is how I feel like doing. Let me know in the comments below if the latest decks you bought were more tarot decks or more oracle decks, or you know, half and half. But in any case, I wanted to start with, let's start with this one, because this is a deck that is not new, but is new to me. And I'm very excited about this one. So this is the Cantigee. Is it Cantigee or Cantigee? I know that there'll be like a lot of people saying, no, it's Cantigee, no, it's Cantigee or Cantigee. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be explained in the guidebook. So it is an ecological spiritual guide and creative prompt deck. That's what I'm excited about. Written by Ray Diamond and the art is by Laura Sussman. So there is also the Luminous Void. I believe it's called the Luminous Void Tarot by Laura as well. And I am looking for it. But that is a indie deck, and I believe that it could be out of print. I'm not entirely sure, but I haven't seen it in any shop, and so it could be out of print. So the reason why I hesitated for so long to grab this deck was because the French version is actually square. And if you have been watching my channel for any length of time, you will know that I do not deal well. It is my fault, but it is because of the way in which, let's say, a little bit because I hurt my fingers when I was playing volleyballs many years ago, and now I actually have pains in my fingers. But it's also because from a let's say probably a cognitive point of view, I don't deal well with round shapes for a deck. So obviously this one is quite famous to be an oracle deck that has this shape, but it is so beautiful that I decided to give it a try. Let's see how it works. And so when I was in Paris about a year ago for my birthday, I went to the Fnac, which is a local bookstore, and I asked them if they have the French edition of this deck, which is square. It's actually square. Mind you, it comes with really odd kind of cardstock, and you have to cut the cards out, but I don't mind because I have a really good professional guillotine style kind of cutter. And so I was ready to get that one, but then I noticed that even the colors are different. And honestly, the inside, how would you call it, image is actually smaller on the French deck. And when you read the reviews about the French edition of this deck, everyone is complaining about the cardstock. If you have it, please let me know if it's true that the cardstock is like probably like, I don't know, like a page out of a book. So everyone is complaining about that. I am not entirely sure because I didn't have the possibility to check it out. I'm very excited about the guidebook because I was looking at a few walkthroughs, and everyone was saying, yeah, I mean, the cardstock is not the best on the English edition either. And apparently after you use it for a while, some of the cards actually warp a little bit. Mines are perfect, so I cannot attest to that. But everyone is saying the same thing about the guidebook, that is absolutely fantastic. There's a lot to study. This could be a really interesting study deck as well. A lot about keynotes, symbology, guidance, as an icon, as a portal, practices also. Whenever I find a deck that gives me the possibility to enhance my practice by, I don't know, giving me a guided meditation or a ritual to do, or a ceremony, or a few prompts for journaling, or maybe a different custom spread or something like that, I'm always very grateful, because I like to have the possibility to use these decks in a different way. And so very, very happy about this one. Then creative prompt as well, and ecological connection, which is very interesting as well. So very, very excited, especially about the guidebook. But let's have a look at the cards. I mean, only because it is round in shape, and I already feel like I don't really know how I'm going to shuffle it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you know, I'm not going to use it. I will definitely use it. And what I wanted to say also is that because the French edition looked to me, and I could be wrong, but it looked to me like it had slightly different colors, if that makes sense, to the images on the English edition, then I hesitated at the end. I didn't buy it. So this is almost blunt. It looks like It's an X-Acto knife, or at least it used to be an X-Acto knife, but that was many years ago, and I never actually took care of it because I'm really bad for these kind of things, and so now it's practically blunt. But in any case, so look at this, it's already, I like it, it's already beautiful. Let me just zoom in a little bit because we can actually have a proper look at the cards. And I really love the backs are also really beautiful as well. I don't know if I can tilt the cards this way to show you that there is this kind of a silvery spider web, which I really like. And this technique, I believe it looks to me like watercolor. I could be completely wrong, but it looks to me like it is watercolor. I should probably double check. If it's not watercolor, it could also be, if you're a fountain pen aficionado, some fountain pen inks will be chromo shading like this one, and it feels like it is very similar to that. Look at this one, it looks so beautiful. Primary Nourishment, The Living Mountain. And I know that there's a lot of people that say that they don't like this deck because there's a lot of eyes. So far I'm okay with it. I have seen a couple of walkthroughs, so I knew what I was getting into. I know that some of these creatures are a bit odd looking, let's put it this way. If you have the Luminous Boy Tarot by Laura Suspend, you'll probably be used to this kind of art style because it is also, the way she's created the tarot deck. And I would be really interested to see that. I never had the tarot deck, and I would be really interested to just have a look and see whether it would resonate or not, because I am so, look at this of the coiled snake. I think that it is not just really beautiful, objectively beautiful, but it's also really interesting. There's so much that can be read from this card, the sentient nest and the self-seen eye. I get that, and there's eyes practically in every card, and I completely understand if this is not for you, absolutely. As I always say, that is a beautiful thing because we're all different and we all have different taste. And that means that obviously there's also different creators with different tastes, which means that we have different decks, and there's decks for everyone. They do not miss their seed pods. Wow. A peach so ripe with the eyes, of course. And these are In the Garden of Lost Teeth. Okay, that's a bit, okay, I get it. The Calvin Glacier, beautiful. Snake and Circles, the Moon, really beautiful. The Wonder Happy Eagle. Okay, look, as I always say, look at this. Your feet are two fish. Because these are the feet, but then it looks like they're also fish. That is so interesting. There you go. So I was looking at a comparison between the French edition and the English edition, and one of the cards that were compared is actually this one, card number 46, which is the Unburdened Bones. Really love it, by the way. Resonates with me because I actually fractured my pelvis many years ago, so it does have a lot of meaning for me. But if I remember correctly, in the French edition, this one was more blue than, this kind of ensemble of colors. So it doesn't make that much of a difference, but obviously between the cardstock not being the best and the colors being different, you are a multitude. Look at this, that's so beautiful. Anyway, as I said, I know this is not for everyone, and I also know that there's going to be a lot of people saying, the deck is so sorry, but the guidebook is fantastic. I am prepared to do a lot of work and study the guidebook, and I am very excited about that as well. So the next one is a deck that I'm pretty sure either has just come out overseas. It has been in circulation in Australia for at least 2 or 3 weeks. However, when I went to Mind Body Spirit Sydney, which was in the middle of March, to the Blue Angel stand. They did not have this deck yet. This is the Unity Oracle that has been published by Blue Angel, and this is a worldwide. And let me tell you, I know that it says they're worldwide, and sometimes we keep on hearing this term worldwide and it's not necessarily true, as there might be someone from Europe and someone from the US and they call it worldwide, forgetting the rest of the world. But this one, for what I understand, does have collaborators from pretty much anywhere, and I'm very excited about it. So I haven't seen it yet. So we've got Alana Frechai, Autumn Sky, Daniel B. Holman, Denise Jarvie, Izzy Ivy, Jasmine Becker Griffith, JBG, Jessica von Braun, Lucy Cavendish, Razuli, Susie Cherub, Tess Whitehurst, Tony Carmine Salerno, and many more. So I'm very excited about this one. And Nine Variety, I can see that. I can see JBG. Yeah, so I might be able to recognize some of these. Maybe yes, maybe not. Obviously it's a collaborative deck, so there's always a bit of a caveat, a bit of a warning that sometimes these types of decks do not resonate with me because it feels like they're not cohesive enough. There are 50 cards, so obviously there are, I don't know whether there's an artist that produce more than one card. So I'm thinking there's probably, because there's 50 cards, there's going to be 50 different artists, which is a lot. But at the same time, it could be either make it or break it. I mean, it could be fantastic or it could be a flop for me personally. Obviously, this could be a deck that you absolutely end up loving it, and I am very happy that I've seen a lot of people already posting about it and saying that it's a fantastic deck. It's got fantastic vibes, and you know, I'm really excited about that. One thing that I don't understand is why, and Blue Angel is keeps on doing this. This is something that would definitely move around in the box. Not that it would damage it because they're absolutely perfect, but perhaps they should put the guidebook in there and then this one at the top. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not an expert. I'm just saying stuff. So this is the guidebook. Let's have a quick look at the guidebook first. And obviously I'm expecting it to talk about, well, it does divide the cards, not one by one. I thought that it was dividing the cards as in different categories, but it's not. But let me just see. So you hold in your hands were born of the vision together, voices of wisdom from around the globe. So there's, there you go. There's 95 contributors. These artists and authors hail from diverse cultural backgrounds. And that's the reason why I wanted to say this is actually worldwide, because listen to the countries involved. Malaysia, South Africa, Cuba, Sweden, Australia, the Philippines, Ghana, Germany, Italy, Russia, Brazil, Canada, the UK and the USA. I believe that it's pretty comprehensive. We've got North America, we got, do we have South America? Brazil, yeah, we have Central America with Cuba, we have South Africa, we have Europe many times, we have Australia, so we have Oceania, Asia a lot, Malaysia, Philippines, Africa, as I said, South Africa, Ghana. So I'm quite happy with that, and I'm just very excited to have a look at all of the cards. So it starts immediately with the cards on page 10, so it doesn't necessarily give you much more of information about how this project came about, which is a bit of a pity, although it does say here, we do have one page, just lists all the countries. It says there is a Nigerian proverb that says, in the moment of crisis, the wild build bridges and the foolish build dams. That's actually very deep. So the wise builds bridges, so connections, so partnership, collaborations, and the fool build dams, as in they want to stop things from going out, but also they want to create obstacles, containment. I like it. I like this proverb. In times of great change, we are called to remember our capacity for fellowship, kindness, and generative ideas and actions. And while there may be distractions in daily life that can muddy the intelligence of our bodies, the generosities of our communities, and our innate interconnectedness with all of life, this deck serves as a reminder of the beauty and power of harmony within and without. This is the ever-present grace that is always available to us. May we each be uplifted by this inspiration and carried forward with love. So it's not necessarily saying who started this, whose idea it was, who reached out to whom. I would be interested maybe at the end. I do follow Blue Angel's Instagram account, and maybe there was something about that. So whenever they were talking about the deck, I will have to check that out. I believe that it talks about all of the creators here towards the end, as you can see. So some of them are very famous. Obviously, Tony Carmine Salerno, which is the founder, I believe, of Blue Angel itself. And then we have Tess Whitehurst, which is very prolific and has done a lot of decks. Tasha Mills, Susie Cherub, Susan McInerney, Sunshine Connolly, one of my favorites, the Soul Mirror Oracle. She is the creator of that. Stephanie McKendry, Steph Crafey. Let's see if I know anyone else. Sharon Perez, Sharon B.U., Sharon McLeod, Sarah Jane Horton, yeah, of course. Sarah Fletcher. So Rossella Paolini is an Italian artist who loves to paint fairy tales, mythology, spirituality, sacred art and science fiction. Fantastic. So there's also an Italian, which makes me always Rasuli, of course. Rachel Johnson, Monica Finazzo, another Italian, I believe Michelle Tracy. So Lucy Cavendish, we all know Lucy Cavendish, of course. And so I'm not gonna read all of them. Obviously, there's 95 of them, as we were reading. JBG, of course, as we were reading earlier. These have, many of these, if not all of them, I don't know, but many of them have already cooperated and released decks with Blue Angel. So it will be really interesting to see which one. Avalon Cameron, there's also Avalon Cameron. She's the creator, together with Anatorian, of the Bone, Stone and Earth Flesh Tarot. Anatorian was illustrating that deck. So in any case, really, Anna Norvesh, which is obviously the illustrator of the Soul Mirror, but she also made the Noble Witch Tarot, and she also made the Feminine Myths Oracle, which is absolutely fantastic. It's one of the latest Oracle decks that I bought. I really love it. Autumn Sky. Okay, sorry, I'm just for a child, we know. So it is interesting in the sense that obviously it does tell you who is the author and the art and the artist. And perhaps, perhaps also the text related to all of these cards will be different, because I'm expecting it to be, because it is made by different writers, it will be different one from the other. But it's really interesting because obviously they call this the Unity Oracle, and so it's a different perspective on a collaborative deck. It's almost as if it were telling us, don't be scared of seeing the bonds, the thread that unites all of these artists. So really fantastic cardstock. Blue Angel is really upping up the antes with this. It is very soft, almost velvety, but it slides really well. Let me just show you. I haven't tried it. I didn't know that it was going to work or not, but I do have other decks with this cardstock, and look at that. It is just absolutely fantastic. I really love it. And these are the backs, by the way. Lots and lots of frames. Not sure what I feel about that, but I do understand the reason behind them, obviously. And so this one, there you go. So we got JVG, hi. So some of them are Rasuli, some of them I will definitely recognize them, some of them probably not. Or if I go back and have a look at the guidebook, then I will be able. This is Anna Norvesh. This is very typical art style. I really love this. The Garden. Shift your focus towards self-care. So as we can see, we do have titles: the vibrancy of nature, connect with the natural world. We also have the sentence at the bottom of the card, which functions like some kind of a prompt. Really beautiful, this one as well. The dance of connection. Everything is dancing with you. Ooh, I'm loving this one. Wow, acceptance. You are enough and you are worthy of love. Really love this card. And I'm so very curious. Sorry, I really have to check. So this is number 21. So I'm going to be really quick. Sorry about that. So the artwork is Deborah Ryan. Okay, I'm going to check her out because I really like this. So in any case, it's going to be really interesting because obviously I need to double check whether I can actually work with this deck or not. But hang on a second, this is Anatolian, isn't this? Sorry, am I hallucinating? This is number 33. Let me just double check because Anatolian, of course. And they collaborated together. I will uncover Anatolian again for this card. So I'm really happy that I could recognize it. Although you will probably say at this point it was very obvious. I know, I was very sorry about that. So in any case, as I was saying, I really have to double check whether I can work with this deck. The cards look rather different one from the other. This is Tonica Manzanello, very typical, you know, some of them are very recognizable. Ooh, that's a really beautiful card. Building conscious community, never underestimate the power of community. Nice. That's my motto, isn't it? Meaningful bonds, meaningful connections. In any case, really excited about this deck. As I said, the jury is still out. This is a first impression video, so let me know what you think about this deck. As I said, I am pretty sure that it is obviously available in Australia, but I'm also sure that maybe it's gonna be printed out, it's gonna be released in May in the US and the rest of the world. In any case, this is a preview for you if you don't have it. If you do have it, please let me know how you use it, how it feels for you. Does it feel like it's easy to connect it, or is it a bit of an issue? I'm always interested. And then last but not least, another Oracle deck, and I'm so very happy that they translated this deck into English because originally it was in German. How would I bought it in German anyway? I don't care. I don't speak German, but I would have made the effort. So this is the Love Oracle by Christophania, and you will probably remember Christophania because there's a very famous keeper, I believe, and also a very famous Lenormand by this creator. I don't have either, but when I saw this deck, I really wanted it. So this one is still published by Urania in Königswald, but this is the English edition. Okay, so I double checked. I really made sure that it was the English edition, and I'm quite happy to say I've seen it in both editions. And I've also spoken to someone on Instagram who have the English edition, and I asked them about the guidebook, and they said that it's quite good. So that was the only thing that I was kind of worried about, whether they had done a good job in translating it or not. So this is very surrealist. If you're not familiar with this deck, very surrealist. But I feel like this kind of art right now, it feels like it's exactly what I need. I'm loving the inside of this. I don't know if you can tell, but there's also this kind of decoration that I really like. There's balloons here, there's butterflies here as well, and it feels like it's actually quite sturdy, so there was absolutely no problem in being damaged. This is the guidebook, and as you can see it already, if you're not familiar with this deck, it is very similar to many of this surrealist kind of art, and I'm thinking about the mystical moment oracle and tarot deck. They will be very similar, but I'm also thinking about an indie deck which is called Elizabeth on Earth that will be very similar to this one. This is actually mass market, so it actually sells for a mass market price, which I'm very excited about. And it feels like it could go really well with the mystical moment, Tarot of the Mystical Moment, if you have it. And so, as I was saying, I was speaking to this person on Instagram, and they said, look, it's actually really well done, and I can tell this is amazing. I love the fact that look, we've got even more illustrations, not just the thumbprints of the cards inside, and we got illustrations everywhere. It's in full color. It's very interesting. It's got key themes, relationship, potential, adventure, and behind the scenes. I am loving it. And then your memory, which is amazing. Really, really fantastic. We do have a lot of spreads here that we can have a look at eventually. So really, really happy about this guidebook. That's the only reason why I would have been hesitating, because I wasn't sure whether they did a really good job in translating it from German into English. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It doesn't matter. But this one has been really well done. Look at this. And then you got overview of the symbols. I didn't know about this one. So we got all of the symbols. Anchor, meaning hope, stability, loyalty, ballerina, frivolity, ambition, single-mindedness, dissatisfaction, discipline, compulsion, etc., etc. That could be really, really interesting also for something to be memorized. I would definitely have a look. This reminds me so much of Elizabeth on Earth. But as I said, Elizabeth on Earth is really beautiful. It's an indie deck. And but I feel like this one is giving me even more. I don't know why. From when I saw it, it looks amazing. The gilding is really beautiful, this copper brown kind of color, and this one immediately reminds me a little bit of the vibes of the Lacrimosa tarot, which I'm actually looking into, and that will probably pair up really nicely together. So you got responsibility, which is a key word, which makes me really happy, and safety and give and take. Wow, amazing. Oh, that's really nice. And harmony. So this is the type of gilding. I don't know if you can tell, but unfortunately the cards do feel like they're sticking together a little bit. So I probably have to do something like this in order to avoid damaging them. Individuality, but there will still be a little bit of that feeling like they're being sticking one to the other. Freedom. That's nice. Deception. Hope. Beautiful. Sorry, I believe. No, okay. They are rather thick, by the way. Really good bounce. Very good cardstock. A bit cow body, which is what I like. Optimism, wisdom, change. So I'm not going to go through all of the cards. This is just literally my first impressions, but I really love this deck. It is everything I was hoping for and more. I really love it. Whenever I see a deck that is similar to another deck that everyone has, I just double check whether to see whether it's something that will resonate with me or not. And if it does, I'm very happy because I know that no one has it. It's not true that no one has it. Obviously, I've seen it in many Instagram accounts. Especially this card, I don't know why, but everyone is pulling this card. This is called the strategy card. And obviously, we've got this game of chess. But there's also, I don't know if you can tell, there's also a magic crystal ball. There's some writing here that looks like it's Chinese or Japanese kanji. I cannot really read that. And then obviously there's an octopus, or what we may think it's an octopus, from the sea that is reaching inside and taking one of the pieces of chess. So really interesting. You can read whatever you want out of these cards. It feels like it's one of those decks that has a bit of a double possibility to be interpreted in a way that feels familiar with you, and then when you're done with that and you go to the guidebook and you read about what the intention of the creator and what their way of manifesting that intention was. Self-determination, amazing. Competition, self-esteem, liveliness, mirrors, and movement. Really excited about this deck. It looks really nice. The gilding is slightly damaged. I don't know if you can tell, probably can't, but it's probably not even damaged. It's just slightly dirty, and I can probably clean it if I do like that. So I don't want to damage it, but in any case, and just an observation, not a deal breaker at all. Really happy about this deck. It's got only 40 cards, so that's okay. They are rather thick, so you can see that it looks, I thought it was more than that. Beautiful colors. It is matte, as you can see the finish, so obviously there would have been more vibrancy with gloss finish, but honestly then it would have been a problem because the cards would have been sticking one to the other, and I am very happy with the way in which this deck is being made. So I'm very excited about going to use this probably this week, and I'll let you know how I work with it. But for now, I would say that was it for today. And again, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really means the world to me. And for now, have a great day. Bye!